The hospital's emergency room buzzed with its usual chaos. Anna wiped the sweat from her forehead as she finished checking on a patient with a broken arm. It was her third double shift this week, and exhaustion was starting to catch up with her. But this was the life she had chosen, helping people when they needed it most. The automatic doors slid open with a whoosh, and paramedics rushed in with a stretcher. Anna looked up from her paperwork, ready to spring into action. But this wasn't the usual car accident or heart attack case she was used to seeing. On the stretcher lay a man who looked to be in his early 30s. His dark hair was messy and his face was pale and sweaty. He was conscious, but his breathing was fast and shallow. His eyes darted around the room like he was looking for an escape route. "What do we have?" Anna asked the paramedic as they moved toward an empty room. 31-year-old male found sitting on a park bench having what appears to be a panic attack. Neighbors called 911 when they saw him struggling to breathe. The paramedic explained quickly. Anna nodded and followed them into the room. As they transferred the man to the hospital bed, she noticed something that made her pause. On his left arm, partially hidden by his sleeve, was a tattoo of military dog tags. She had seen enough of these tattoos to recognize what they meant. "Sir, can you tell me your name?" Anna asked gently as she checked his vital signs. "Luke," he managed to say between quick breaths. "Luke Thompson. And I'm fine. This is just, I don't need to be here." Anna had heard this before. Pride was often the biggest enemy when it came to getting help. She pulled up a chair next to his bed, something that surprised Luke. Most medical staff stayed standing, always in a hurry to move to the next patient. "Luke, I'm Anna. I'm a nurse here." "Can you tell me what happened today?" she asked, her voice calm and patient. Luke's jaw tightened. "It was nothing. Just got a little dizzy, that's all. People overreacted." Anna noticed how his hands were still shaking slightly. His heart rate was slowly coming down, but she could see the tension in his shoulders. There was something in his eyes, a tiredness that went deeper than just physical exhaustion. "Were you somewhere with loud noises?" "Crowds, maybe?" she asked carefully. Luke's eyes met hers for the first time. There was surprise there, like he wasn't used to someone asking the right questions. "There was a construction site nearby," he admitted quietly. "The sounds they reminded me of things I'd rather forget." Anna nodded without judgment. She had worked with enough veterans to understand what he meant without him having to explain further. "That makes sense," she said simply. "Our minds sometimes react to things that remind us of difficult times." "It doesn't make you weak." Luke stared at her for a moment. He was used to people either avoiding the topic completely or treating him like he was broken. Anna did neither. "You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to," Anna continued. "But I want you to know that what happened today is more common than you might think. Your body was trying to protect you from something it thought was dangerous." For the next hour, Anna stayed with Luke while they ran some basic tests. She didn't push him to talk, but she didn't leave him alone either. They talked about small things, the weather, the terrible hospital coffee, a funny story about her cat that had learned to open doors. Luke found himself relaxing for the first time in weeks. There was something about Anna that felt safe. She had kind eyes and a way of talking that didn't make him feel like a patient or a problem to be solved. "You know," Luke said as Anna was finishing up his paperwork, "most people look at me like I'm going to break or explode at any moment." Anna smiled. "Well, you seem pretty solid to me. Maybe a little tired, but we all get tired sometimes." "I haven't slept well in a long time," Luke admitted, surprising himself. He wasn't sure why he was telling her this. "That's tough," Anna said. "Sleep is when our minds process everything that happens during the day. When we don't get enough, everything feels harder." Luke nodded. It was exactly how he felt, like everything was just a little bit harder than it should be. The doctor came in then to discharge Luke. Everything checked out fine physically. It was just anxiety, they said, like that made it less real or important. As Luke was getting ready to leave, Anna handed him a small piece of paper. "This is the number for a support group that meets here at the hospital," she said. "It's for people who've been through experiences like yours. No pressure, but if you ever want to check it out, they meet every Thursday evening." Luke took the paper but didn't look at it. "Thanks, but I'm not really a group therapy kind of guy." "That's okay," Anna said. "Just keep it in case you change your mind. Sometimes it helps to know you're not the only one dealing with things." As Luke walked toward the exit, he turned back to see Anna already helping another patient. She moved with purpose and kindness. treating everyone with the same gentle respect she had shown him. Outside the hospital, Luke sat in his truck for a few minutes before starting the engine. He pulled out the piece of paper Anna had given him and looked at it for the first time. Below the support group information, she had written a short note. "Take care of yourself. Luke, you deserve good things." No one had told him that in a very long time. As he drove home to his small apartment, Luke found himself thinking about Anna's words. She had made him feel normal for the first time since he had returned from his second tour overseas. Not like a hero, not like a victim, just like a regular person who was going through a tough time. That night, Luke slept better than he had in months. And when he woke up the next morning, he found himself thinking about the nurse with the kind eyes who had sat with him when he needed someone most. He didn't know it yet, but that day in the emergency room would change everything for both of them. Sometimes the most important moments in our lives happen when we least expect them, in places we never planned to be, with people we never thought we'd meet. Anna went home that night thinking about Luke too. There had been something in his eyes that reminded her of her own struggles, her own moments of feeling lost and overwhelmed. She hoped he would consider the support group, but more than that, she hoped he would be kind to himself. Neither of them knew that their paths would cross again soon, but sometimes life has a way of bringing the right people together at exactly the right time, even when they don't think they're ready for it. 3 weeks had passed since Luke's visit to the emergency room. He had thought about Anna more times than he cared to admit, but he convinced himself it was just gratitude. She had been kind to him during a difficult moment, nothing more. The job interview at Morrison Construction Company was scheduled for 2 o'clock. Luke arrived early and decided to grab a coffee from the small shop across the street. He needed something to calm his nerves. It had been 8 months since his last job and his savings were running low. The coffee shop was busy with the lunch crowd. Luke stood in line, practicing answers to interview questions in his head. He was so focused on what he would say about his work experience that he almost didn't notice the familiar voice ordering in front of him. "Just a large coffee, black and one of those chocolate chip muffins," the woman said to the barista. Luke's heart skipped a beat. He would recognize that voice anywhere. When Anna turned around with her order, their eyes met, and her face lit up with genuine surprise and happiness. "Luke, how are you doing?" she asked, stepping aside to wait for her order. "I'm good. Better," he said, and realized he meant it. "What brings you here?" "I work nights at the hospital, so this is basically my breakfast," Anna laughed, holding up her coffee. "I just finished my shift about an hour ago." Luke noticed she looked tired but still had that same warm energy he remembered. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail and she wore scrubs with tiny cartoon cats on them. "Are you here for the coffee or something else?" Anna asked. "Job interview, actually," Luke said, pointing across the street. "Morrison Construction. Figured I needed some caffeine for courage." "That's great. I've heard good things about that company. They do a lot of community projects around here." The barista called Anna's name and she grabbed her muffin. Luke ordered his coffee and when he turned around, Anna was still standing there. "Do you have a few minutes?" she asked. "I mean, before your interview? I'd love to hear how you've been doing." Luke checked his watch. He had 20 minutes to spare. "Sure, if you're not too tired." They found a small table by the window. Anna broke her muffin in half and offered Luke a piece, which he accepted. For a moment they sat in comfortable silence, watching people walk by outside. "So how have things been since that day at the hospital?" Anna asked gently. Luke stirred his coffee, thinking about how to answer. "Better, actually. I took your advice about taking care of myself. Started going for walks in the morning, trying to stick to a routine." "That's wonderful. Routines can really help with anxiety." "Yeah, I'm learning that." Luke paused. "I haven't tried the support group yet, though." "Still not sure about that," Anna nodded. "That's okay. Everyone moves at their own pace. The important thing is that you're taking steps forward." Luke found himself relaxing just like he had at the hospital. There was something about Anna that made it easy to talk. "Can I ask you something? Why were you so nice to me that day?" "I mean, you barely knew me," Anna thought for a moment. "I guess because I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed and scared. Maybe not in the same way you do, but I've had my share of difficult times." "Really? You seem so together," Anna laughed softly. "Trust me, I'm not as put together as I might seem. A few years ago, I went through a really tough period. Lost someone important to me, and I struggled with anxiety for a long time. I remember feeling like no one understood what I was going through. Luke leaned forward slightly. He hadn't expected her to share something so personal. What helped you get through it? He asked. Time, mostly, and learning that it's okay to not be okay sometimes. Also, talking to people who understood even when it was scary to open up. They talked easily for the next 15 minutes. Anna told him about her work at the hospital, how she had always wanted to help people but sometimes found it emotionally draining. Luke shared a little about his time in the military, carefully avoiding the difficult parts but talking about the friendships he had made and the places he had seen. I should probably head over for my interview, Luke said, checking his watch again. Of course. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. As they stood up to leave, Luke felt a sudden burst of courage. Maybe it was Anna's easy smile, or the way she had shared her own struggles, or just the fact that talking to her felt so natural. Anna, I know this might be weird and feel free to say no, but would you maybe want to get dinner sometime, if you're not too busy with work? Anna's smile grew wider. I'd like that. I'd like that a lot. They exchanged phone numbers and Luke walked across the street feeling lighter than he had in months. The interview went better than he expected. Maybe it was the confidence boost from his conversation with Anna. Or maybe the hiring manager just liked his honest answers about wanting to build something positive with his life. Anna drove home thinking about their conversation. She had dated a few people over the years, but none of them had made her feel as comfortable as Luke did. There was something genuine about him, a quiet strength that drew her in. That evening, Luke got a call from Morrison Construction. He got the job. His first day would be Monday morning. As he hung up the phone, he realized the first person he wanted to share the good news with was Anna. He picked up his phone and typed a text message. Got the job. Thank you for the good luck wishes. They must have worked. Anna's response came quickly. That's amazing. Congratulations. I knew they'd see what a good person you are. Luke stared at the message for a moment. When was the last time someone had called him a good person? He typed back, how about that dinner? Are you free Saturday evening? Yes, I'd love to. Do you like Italian food? Love it. I'll pick you up at 7. Perfect. Can't wait. Luke set his phone down and looked around his small apartment. For the first time in a long time, he had something to look forward to. A new job, a dinner date with someone who made him feel like himself again, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something good. Anna fell asleep that night with a smile on her face. She had learned to be cautious about letting people into her life, especially after losing her father, but there was something about Luke that felt safe and real. She was excited to see where this new friendship might lead. Neither of them had expected to find someone special in a busy coffee shop on an ordinary afternoon, but sometimes the best things in life happen when we're just trying to get through the day, focusing on the next step forward. Sometimes all it takes is a kind word, a shared muffin, and the courage to ask someone to dinner. Saturday evening came faster than Luke expected. He had changed his shirt 3 times and was now standing outside Anna's apartment building, holding a small bouquet of flowers and wondering if he was making a mistake. Anna opened the door wearing a simple blue dress and a nervous smile. Hi, she said softly. Hi. These are for you, Luke said, handing her the flowers. Nothing fancy, just thought you might like them. They're beautiful. Thank you. Anna invited him in while she put the flowers in water. Her apartment was cozy and warm, with books everywhere and photos of family and friends on the walls. Dinner at the Italian restaurant went smoothly. They talked about Luke's first week at his new job, Anna's funny stories from the hospital, and their shared love of old movies. Luke found himself laughing more than he had in years. I have to ask, Anna said over dessert, what made you want to go into construction? Luke's smile faded slightly. I needed something with my hands, you know? Something real that I could see getting built. After spending so much time in places where things were getting torn down or destroyed, I wanted to create something positive. Anna noticed the shift in his mood but didn't push. That makes sense. There's something satisfying about building things that last. Their second date was a hiking trail outside the city. Luke seemed more relaxed outdoors, pointing out different types of trees and telling Anna about camping trips he used to take with his family as a kid. But when a helicopter flew overhead, Anna noticed Luke tense up and go quiet for several minutes. By their 4th date, Anna was starting to see the patterns. Luke would be relaxed and happy. Then something would trigger a memory or a feeling and he would withdraw into himself. Sometimes it was a loud noise, sometimes it was nothing she could identify. One evening, they were watching a movie at Luke's apartment when a scene with explosions came on. Luke suddenly got up and turned off the TV. "Sorry," he said, running his hands through his hair. I don't really watch action movies anymore." Anna moved closer to him on the couch. "You don't have to apologize. Do you want to talk about it?" Luke sat back down but kept his distance. "It's just, sometimes things remind me of my time overseas. The sounds, the chaos. I served 2 tours in Afghanistan and some days it feels like I never really came home." Anna reached for his hand. "That must be so hard to carry around with you." "I have nightmares," Luke admitted quietly. "Sometimes I wake up thinking I'm still there. Sometimes I can't sleep at all because I'm afraid of what I might dream about." Anna squeezed his hand gently. "Have you ever talked to anyone about it? A counselor or therapist?" Luke shook his head. "I kept telling myself I could handle it on my own, that I just needed more time. There's no shame in getting help, Luke. What you went through, no one should have to process that alone." For the next hour, Luke told Anna things he had never told anyone, about the friends he had lost, about the constant fear and alertness that never seemed to go away, about feeling guilty for making it home when others didn't. Anna listened without judgment, sharing her own story about losing her father to depression and suicide when she was 22. "I blamed myself for a long time," Anna said. "I kept thinking I should have seen the signs, should have done something different. It took me years to understand that sometimes people are fighting battles we can't see, and it's not our fault when they lose those battles." "How did you get through it?" Luke asked. "Therapy eventually, and learning that grief and trauma don't just go away if you ignore them. They need attention and care just like any other injury." Luke was quiet for a long time. "I'm scared," he finally said. "I'm scared that if I start talking about it, I'll fall apart completely. And I'm scared that you'll realize I'm too messed up to be worth the trouble." Anna turned to face him fully. "Luke, look at me. You are not too messed up.
You are not too much trouble.
You're a good man who went through something terrible and is trying to find his way back to himself. That doesn't make you broken." But as the weeks passed, Luke began to pull away. The closer he and Anna became, the more afraid he got. He started canceling dates, claiming he had to work late or wasn't feeling well. When Anna suggested he look into therapy, he got defensive. "I'm fine," he insisted during one particularly tense conversation. "I don't need to pay someone to listen to me complain about things that are in the past." "It's not complaining, Luke, it's healing. And those things might be in the past, but they're still affecting your present. Look, maybe we should take a break," Luke said suddenly. "This isn't fair to you. You deserve someone who has their life together, not someone who can't even watch a movie without freaking out." Anna felt her heart sink. "Don't I get a say in what I deserve? Don't I get to decide what I can and can't handle? You don't understand. I'm not the same person I was before I left. Sometimes I don't even recognize myself. I get angry at small things. I can't concentrate. I have panic attacks in grocery stores when they're too crowded. You think you can handle that, but you can't. No one can." "You're right," Anna said quietly. "I don't understand exactly what you're going through. But I understand caring about someone who's hurting. I understand wanting to support someone through difficult times. And I understand that healing isn't linear." Luke stood up and walked to the window. "I think about those guys who didn't make it home every single day. I think about the families who got a flag instead of their loved one. And here I am, alive and breathing, and I can't even function like a normal person. What right do I have to be happy when they're gone?" Anna got up and stood behind him. "They would want you to be happy, Luke. They would want you to live a full life. Staying miserable doesn't honor their memory. You don't know that? Maybe not. But I know that you're a good person who deserves love and happiness. I know that what happened to you wasn't your fault. And I know that running away from people who care about you isn't going to make the pain go away." Luke turned around, and Anna could see tears in his eyes. "I'm so tired, Anna. I'm tired of being afraid all the time. I'm tired of feeling like I'm walking around with this weight on my chest. I'm tired of pretending I'm okay when I'm not." Anna reached up and gently touched his face. "Then stop pretending. Stop carrying it alone. Let me help you find someone to talk to. Let me be here for you while you figure this out. What if I get worse before I get better? Then we'll handle that too, together." Luke leaned into her touch. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to let someone care about me when I can barely take care of myself. We'll figure it out as we go, Anna said, one day at a time, one step at a time. But please don't shut me out. Please don't give up on us before we've really tried. That night, Luke made 2 phone calls. The first was to the Veterans Affairs office to ask about counseling services. The second was to Anna, to apologize for trying to push her away and to ask if she would go with him to his first therapy appointment. Anna said yes to both the apology and the request. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she also knew that some things were worth fighting for, and Luke was definitely worth fighting for. The 4th of July barbecue at Anna's friend Kelly's house seemed like a perfect idea when they planned it. Luke had been going to therapy for 6 weeks, and things between him and Anna were getting stronger. He was sleeping better and the panic attacks were less frequent. Anna thought being around other people in a relaxed setting would be good for both of them. The backyard was decorated with red, white, and blue streamers. About 20 people were there, mostly Anna's co-workers and their families. Luke felt a little nervous about meeting so many new people at once, but Anna stayed close to him, introducing him to everyone and making sure he felt included. "Luke, this is my friend Kelly," Anna said, leading him over to a woman with short brown hair who was flipping burgers on the grill. "Kelly, this is Luke. Nice to finally meet you," Kelly said with a warm smile. "Anna talks about you all the time." Luke relaxed a little. The people were friendly, the food was good, and Anna seemed happy. For a while, he almost forgot about the anxiety that usually sat in the back of his mind. As the sun started to set, people began gathering in the backyard for the fireworks show. The local display would be visible from Kelly's yard, and everyone had brought lawn chairs and blankets to sit on. "This is the best view in the neighborhood," Kelly announced. "The show should start any minute now." Luke and Anna found a spot on a blanket near the back of the yard. Anna noticed Luke seemed a little tense, but she thought it was just because he was still getting used to being in crowds. The first firework lit up the sky with a bright burst of gold. Everyone cheered and clapped. Luke's hands clenched into fists on his knees, but he tried to focus on Anna's excited face next to him. Then came the loud ones. The rockets that exploded with sharp echoing booms that seemed to shake the ground. Luke's heart started racing. His breathing became quick and shallow. The sounds were too familiar, too close to memories he had been working hard to manage. Anna felt Luke tense up beside her. She looked over and saw that his face had gone pale and he was staring straight ahead with wide eyes. "Luke," she whispered. "Are you okay?" But Luke wasn't hearing her anymore. In his mind, he wasn't in a backyard in suburban America. He was back in Afghanistan, and those weren't fireworks exploding overhead. His body went into full panic mode, muscles tight, ready to run or fight. Anna noticed people starting to look in their direction. Luke was breathing so hard it was audible over the fireworks. She gently touched his arm, but he jerked away from her touch like it had burned him. "Luke, you're safe," she said quietly, trying not to draw more attention. "We're at Kelly's house. It's just fireworks," but Luke was somewhere else entirely. Sweat was pouring down his face despite the cool evening air. His hands were shaking and Anna could see the panic in his eyes. "I need to get him out of here," Anna thought. She stood up and helped Luke to his feet, guiding him toward the house. Several people asked if everything was okay, but Anna just smiled and said Luke wasn't feeling well. She led him through the house and out to the front yard, where the sound of the fireworks was muffled. Luke was still breathing hard, but he seemed to be coming back to himself. "Anna?" he said, his voice shaky. "What? Where are we?" "We're at Kelly's house." "You had a panic attack during the fireworks, but you're safe now. It's over." Luke looked around, getting his bearings. The shame hit him like a physical blow.
He had ruined Anna's evening.
He had made a scene in front of her friends. He had proven exactly what he had been afraid of, that he couldn't handle normal social situations. "I need to go home," he said, already walking toward his truck. "Luke, wait. Let's talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about. You saw what happened in there." "I freaked out at a backyard barbecue." "What's next? Having a breakdown at the grocery store? At your work party?" Anna caught up with him as he reached his truck. "It was just a bad moment. It doesn't define you." Luke turned to face her and Anna could see the pain in his eyes. "This is exactly what I was afraid of. This is why I tried to end things between us before. I'm not getting better, Anna. I'm just learning to hide it better most of the time." "That's not true. You've made so much progress in therapy." "Have I? Because 10 minutes ago I thought I was in a war zone. 10 minutes ago I couldn't tell the difference between fireworks and incoming fire. That doesn't sound like progress to me. Anna stepped closer to him. Healing isn't a straight line, Luke. You're going to have setbacks. That doesn't mean you're not getting better. Luke shook his head. You deserve better than this. You deserve someone who can go to a simple 4th of July party without falling apart. Someone who doesn't come with all this baggage. Stop telling me what I deserve, Anna said firmly. I'm a grown woman who can make her own decisions about what I can and can't handle. Look at what just happened. Look how you had to take care of me like I'm a child. That's not a relationship, Anna. That's you being a caretaker. Anna felt tears starting to form in her eyes. Is that really what you think? That I'm just here because I feel sorry for you? Luke's resolve was weakening, but his fear was stronger. I think you're here because you're a good person who wants to help people. But I'm not a patient you can fix, Anna. I'm a mess, and I'm always going to be a mess. No, you're not a mess. You're a person who went through trauma and is working to heal from it. There's a difference. Luke got into his truck and rolled down the window. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep putting you through this. You'll be happier without me. Anna put her hands on the window frame. Don't you dare drive away from me. Don't you dare make this decision for both of us. But Luke was already backing out of the driveway. Anna stood there watching his taillights disappear down the street, feeling her heart break a little more with each second. When she went back into Kelly's house, the fireworks were over and people were cleaning up. Kelly took one look at Anna's face and knew something serious had happened. What can I do? Kelly asked. I don't know, Anna said honestly. I really don't know. Meanwhile, Luke drove home fighting back tears. By the time he reached his apartment, he had convinced himself that he had done the right thing. Anna would find someone better, someone who could give her the life she deserved, someone who didn't carry the weight of war around with them everywhere they went. But as he sat alone in his dark apartment, Luke realized that pushing Anna away didn't make the pain go away. It just added a new kind of pain on top of everything else he was already carrying. The next morning, Anna showed up at Luke's apartment. She had barely slept and she looked exhausted, but there was determination in her eyes. When Luke opened the door, he looked surprised to see her. We need to talk, Anna said. Anna, I meant what I said last night. I know you did, but I have some things to say too, and you're going to listen to them. Luke stepped aside and let her in. Anna walked into his living room and turned to face him. You want to know what I think? She said. I think you're scared. I think you're so afraid of getting hurt or hurting me that you're willing to throw away something good rather than fight for it. Luke started to respond, but Anna held up her hand. I'm not finished. You keep telling me I deserve better, but you know what I deserve? I deserve someone who won't give up on us at the first sign of trouble. I deserve someone who trusts me enough to let me make my own choices about what I can handle. She moved closer to him. I'm not here because I feel sorry for you, Luke. I'm here because I care about you. Because when I'm with you, I feel like myself. Because you make me laugh and you listen to me and you see me as more than just someone who takes care of other people. Luke's walls were starting to crumble. But what if I have another panic attack? What if I can't get better? Anna reached out and took his hands in hers. Then we'll figure it out together. But I need you to stop trying to protect me from your problems. I need you to trust that I'm strong enough to handle whatever comes our way. Luke looked into her eyes and saw something he had been afraid to hope for. Unconditional acceptance. Not despite his struggles, but including them. Hold me close, Anna whispered, stepping into his arms. I won't let go until you show me your heart. The real one with all its scars and fears and beautiful broken pieces. Luke held her tight, finally understanding that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let someone love you exactly as you are. After the 4th of July incident, something shifted between Luke and Anna. The walls Luke had spent months building came down, not all at once, but brick by brick. Anna's words that morning had given him permission to be vulnerable in a way he hadn't allowed himself to be since returning from overseas. Their next therapy session together was different. Dr. Martinez, Luke's counselor, had suggested that Anna attend a few sessions to help her understand how to best support Luke without losing herself in the process. Luke, you've been coming here for 8 weeks now, Dr. Martinez said. How do you feel about sharing some of your experiences with Anna? Luke looked nervous but determined. I think I'm ready. I think I need to be. Anna reached over and squeezed his hand. Only what you feel comfortable sharing. There's no pressure. Luke took a deep breath and began talking about his time in Afghanistan. Not the sanitized version he had shared before, but the real experiences that had been eating at him for years. He told Anna about his best friend Tom, who had been killed by a roadside bomb just 2 weeks before they were supposed to come home. He talked about the constant fear of not knowing if the next step you took would be your last. He described the weight of responsibility he felt for the younger soldiers in his unit, and how he still woke up sometimes checking to make sure they were safe, even though they were all thousands of miles away. The hardest part, Luke said, his voice breaking slightly, is that I came home, but part of me is still over there. Part of me is still that 25-year-old kid who was terrified every single day but had to act brave for everyone else. Anna listened without interrupting, tears in her eyes. When Luke finished talking, she didn't try to offer solutions or tell him it would be okay. She just held his hand and said, "Thank you for trusting me with this." Dr. Martinez helped them understand that healing happens in relationship with others, not in isolation. She taught Anna about the signs of PTSD and how to support Luke without becoming his caretaker. She taught Luke how to communicate his needs and feelings instead of shutting down when things got difficult. Over the next few weeks, they developed new routines together. Luke started each day with a morning walk, and Anna joined him on the days she wasn't working night shifts. They discovered that moving their bodies helped quiet the anxious thoughts that often crowded Luke's mind. "I never realized how much I missed this," Luke said one morning as they walked through the park near Anna's apartment. "Just being outside moving, not thinking about anything complicated." "It helps me too," Anna admitted. "Work can be really stressful, and sometimes I carry everyone else's problems home with me. This helps me remember that I'm just Anna, not Anna the nurse who has to fix everything." They started cooking together on Sunday afternoons, trying new recipes and talking about their weeks. Anna learned that Luke was actually a good cook, something he had picked up from his grandmother before she passed away. She used to say that feeding people was a way of showing love, Luke said as he taught Anna how to make his grandmother's pasta sauce. "I haven't cooked for anyone in years." "Well, I feel very loved right now," Anna said, tasting the sauce. "This is amazing." Luke smiled, and Anna noticed it was the first time she had seen him look truly relaxed and happy in weeks. But it wasn't just Luke who was opening up. Anna began sharing things with Luke that she had never told anyone else. She talked about the guilt she carried about her father's death, and how she sometimes felt responsible for everyone's well-being because she hadn't been able to save him. "I became a nurse because I wanted to help people," Anna said one evening as they sat on her couch. "But sometimes I think I'm trying to save everyone else because I couldn't save him." Luke turned to face her. "That's a heavy burden to carry. Do you think your dad would want you to feel responsible for his death?" Anna thought about it. "No, probably not. He was always telling me to live my own life, not to worry so much about other people. Maybe learning to take care of yourself is a way of honoring his memory," Luke suggested gently. Anna had never thought about it that way before. She had been so focused on caring for others that she had forgotten how to care for herself. They started setting boundaries together. Anna learned to say no to extra shifts when she was exhausted. Luke learned to speak up when he was feeling overwhelmed instead of pretending everything was fine. "I used to think that needing help made me weak," Luke said during one of their walks. "But Dr. Martinez helped me understand that it actually takes strength to admit when you're struggling." "I'm learning that too," Anna said. "I've always been the helper, the one everyone comes to with their problems. I thought that's what made me valuable to people. You're valuable because you're you, Anna, not because of what you do for other people." 3 months after the 4th of July incident, Luke had his first completely panic-free week. It wasn't that he never felt anxious, but he had learned tools to manage the anxiety before it spiraled into a full panic attack. "I have good days and bad days," he told Anna one afternoon as they were planting flowers in her small garden. "But the good days are starting to outnumber the bad ones." Anna watched him carefully placing seeds in the soil. There was something peaceful about the way he moved, like he was exactly where he belonged. "You know what I love about gardening?" Anna said. "What's that?" "You plant something small and fragile, and if you take care of it consistently, it grows into something beautiful. But you can't rush it. It happens in its own time." Luke looked up at her and smiled. "Are we talking about plants or people?" "Maybe both." That evening, they were sitting on Anna's porch watching the sunset when Luke said something that surprised both of them. "I love you." Anna turned to look at him. "What did you say?" Luke's face turned red. "I said I love you. I didn't plan to say it, it just came out. But I mean it. I love how patient you are with me.
I love how you make me feel normal.
I love that you see the best in me even when I can't see it myself." Anna felt tears forming in her eyes.
I love you too, Luke. I love your kindness and your strength.
I love how hard you're working to heal. I love the way you make me laugh and the way you listen to me. I love all of you, including the parts that are still healing. They sat there holding hands as the sun disappeared behind the trees, both feeling like they had crossed an important bridge together. Later that night, as Anna was getting ready for bed, she realized something had changed. For the first time since her father's death, she felt truly hopeful about the future, not because everything was perfect, but because she had found someone who was willing to do the hard work of building something real together. Luke drove home that night thinking about how different his life had become. 6 months ago, he had been isolating himself, convinced that he was too damaged to ever have a normal relationship. Now he was planning a future with someone who loved him exactly as he was. It wasn't that all their problems had disappeared. Luke still had difficult days, and Anna still struggled with anxiety about losing the people she cared about. But they had learned to face those challenges together instead of running away from them. They had learned that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who is willing to grow and heal alongside you. Someone who sees your scars as proof of your strength, rather than evidence of your weakness. Most importantly, they had learned that opening your heart to someone else doesn't make you vulnerable, it makes you brave. Everything was going well for Luke and Anna until it wasn't. It happened suddenly, the way setbacks often do in mental health recovery. One day Luke was making progress, feeling hopeful, planning their weekend together. The next day he could barely get out of bed. It started during a particularly intense therapy session, where Dr. Martinez had encouraged Luke to process some memories he had been avoiding. The session went well, but that night Luke had the worst nightmare he'd experienced in months. He woke up screaming, drenched in sweat, convinced he was back in Afghanistan. Anna wasn't there that night. She was working a double shift at the hospital. Luke called her, but she was in the middle of an emergency and couldn't talk. For the first time in months, Luke felt completely alone with his demons. The next few days were a blur of anxiety and depression. Luke called in sick to work, something he had never done since starting the job. He stopped answering Anna's calls and texts. He missed his therapy appointment without calling to cancel. All the progress he had made seemed to disappear overnight. Anna tried to be patient at first. She understood that healing wasn't linear, that setbacks were part of the process. But when Luke went 3 days without responding to any of her messages, she started to worry. She showed up at his apartment on Thursday evening with takeout from his favorite restaurant. "Luke, I know you're in there," she called through the door. "I brought Chinese food. Can you please let me in?" When Luke finally opened the door, Anna was shocked by how he looked. He hadn't shaved in days. His hair was messy and he was wearing the same clothes she had seen him in earlier that week. But it was his eyes that worried her most. They looked empty, like the spark she had grown to love had been extinguished. "You shouldn't be here," Luke said quietly. But he stepped aside to let her in. The apartment was a mess. Dishes piled in the sink, clothes scattered around, curtains drawn tight against the daylight. Anna had never seen Luke's space look like this before. "How long have you been like this?" she asked gently. Luke shrugged. "Since Tuesday, maybe?" The days kind of blend together. Anna set the food on the kitchen counter and turned to face him. "What happened? You were doing so well." "That's the thing about this," Luke said, collapsing onto his couch. "You think you're getting better and then boom. Right back where you started. Maybe even worse than before." Anna sat down next to him, but Luke moved away from her touch. "I can't do this anymore, Anna. I thought I could get better. Thought I could be the kind of person who deserves someone like you. But I'm kidding myself. This is who I am. This is who I'm always going to be." "That's not true. You've made so much progress, and have I? Because right now I feel exactly like I did a year ago. Hopeless, angry, afraid of everything. I haven't showered in 3 days. I can't even take care of myself, let alone be a good partner to you." Anna felt her own anxiety rising. She had been through this kind of depression with her father and it terrified her. But she tried to stay calm and supportive. This is temporary, Luke. You know this is temporary. You've gotten through bad days before. What if it's not temporary this time? What if this is just me pretending I could be normal for a few months? Over the next 2 weeks, Anna watched Luke sink deeper into depression. He went back to work but barely spoke to anyone. He stopped going to therapy, claiming it wasn't helping anyway. He became irritable and distant, snapping at Anna over small things and then feeling guilty about it later. Anna tried everything she could think of. She brought him meals, encouraged him to call Dr. Martinez, suggested activities they used to enjoy together, but nothing seemed to reach him. "I feel like I'm losing you," Anna said one evening when Luke had barely spoken during dinner. "Maybe you should," Luke replied. "Maybe that would be easier for both of us." Anna felt something crack inside her chest. "Don't say that. Please don't say that. I'm serious, Anna. Look at me. Look at how I am right now. This is what you're signing up for. This is what loving me looks like." Anna stood up from the table. "I need some air." She walked outside and called Kelly, who came over immediately. "I don't know what to do," Anna told her friend as they sat in Kelly's car outside Luke's building. "I love him, but I'm starting to feel like I'm drowning too. I spend all my time worrying about him, trying to fix him, trying to make him feel better. I'm exhausted." "That sounds familiar," Kelly said gently. "Remember how you were with your dad?" Anna felt tears start to fall. "That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid I'm repeating the same pattern. I'm afraid I'm going to watch someone I love destroy themselves and there's nothing I can do to stop it." "What does your therapist say?" Kelly asked. Anna had started seeing a counselor herself a few months earlier, something Dr. Martinez had recommended. "She says I can't love someone into being healthy. She says I have to take care of myself first." "That's hard advice to follow when you're a caretaker by nature." Anna nodded. "I know he's sick right now. I know this isn't who he really is. But I'm starting to lose myself in trying to save him." The next morning, Anna made a difficult decision. She called Luke and asked him to meet her at the coffee shop where they had reconnected months earlier. Luke looked terrible when he arrived. He was late, unshaven, and moved like everything hurt. "I've been thinking," Anna said after they ordered their drinks. "I think you need to go back to therapy. I told you it's not helping. Then maybe you need a different therapist. Or maybe you need to consider medication, but you can't keep going like this." Luke stared into his coffee cup. "What if nothing helps? What if I'm just broken?" Anna reached across the table and took his hand. "Then we'll figure that out too. But I need you to try, Luke. I need you to fight for yourself the way I've been fighting for you. And if I can't," Anna's voice was quiet but firm, "then I'm going to have to take a step back. Not because I don't love you, but because I can't watch you give up on yourself. It's too much like your dad," Luke finished. Anna nodded, tears in her eyes. "I won't go through that again. I can't." Luke looked up at her, really seeing her for the first time in weeks. She looked exhausted and sad, and he realized that his depression hadn't just been affecting him. "I'm scared," he admitted. "I know. I'm scared too. But being scared doesn't mean we give up." That afternoon, Luke called Dr. Martinez and scheduled an emergency session. He also made an appointment with a psychiatrist to discuss medication options, something he had been resistant to before. "I almost lost her," he told Dr. Martinez during their session. "I almost lost the best thing in my life because I was so focused on my own pain that I couldn't see how much I was hurting her." That's a hard realization, but it's also an important one. Recovery isn't just about feeling better. It's about being able to show up for the people you love. Luke nodded. "I want to show up for Anna. I want to be the kind of person who can love her the way she deserves to be loved. That's going to require some changes. Are you ready to make them?" Luke thought about Anna's face at the coffee shop, how exhausted and sad she had looked. He thought about all the ways she had supported him, and how little he had been able to give back during his worst moments. "Yes," he said, "I'm ready." That evening, Luke called Anna. "I want to apologize," he said. "Not just for the past few weeks, but for making you feel like you had to choose between taking care of me and taking care of yourself." "Luke, let me finish. I started taking medication today. I'm going back to therapy twice a week, and I want to support you in getting help too if you want it. I know this has been hard on you." Anna felt a mixture of relief and cautious hope. "It has been hard, but I don't want to give up on us. Neither do I. But I need to learn how to take care of myself so that loving me doesn't cost you your peace of mind. It was a start, not a solution, but a commitment to keep trying, keep growing, keep fighting for their relationship and for themselves. Anna realized that night that love sometimes means setting boundaries, even with people you care about deeply. And Luke realized that true love requires showing up, not just when things are easy, but especially when they're hard. They still had work to do, both individually and together. But for the first time in weeks, they both felt hope that they could find their way back to each other. The medication helped Luke more than he expected it to. Within 3 weeks, the crushing weight of depression began to lift. It didn't solve everything, but it gave him enough space between his thoughts and feelings to start making better choices. He returned to work with renewed focus and started keeping his therapy appointments consistently. Anna, meanwhile, was learning to set healthy boundaries. She continued seeing her own therapist and joined a support group for family members of people with PTSD. It was there that she learned she wasn't alone in struggling to balance love and self-care. I used to think that loving someone meant fixing them, Anna shared with the group one evening. I'm learning that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let them fix themselves while you stand beside them. Luke was making progress, but recovery isn't a straight line. There were still difficult days, but now he had tools to manage them instead of letting them consume him completely. Then, 6 months after Luke's setback, it was Anna's turn to face a crisis. It happened on a Tuesday night at the hospital. Anna was assigned to a trauma case, a car accident involving a family with 2 young children. She had handled countless emergencies before, but something about this case was different. Maybe it was how young the father was, or how the mother kept asking if everyone was going to be okay. But Anna found herself thinking about her own father and the night he died. They managed to save the father and one of the children, but despite everyone's best efforts, the 8-year-old boy didn't make it. Anna held the mother's hand as the doctor delivered the news, watching a woman's world completely fall apart in a matter of seconds. Anna finished her shift and drove home in a daze. She sat in her car outside her apartment building for 20 minutes, unable to make herself go inside. Finally, she called Luke. "Can you come over?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I'll be right there." Luke found Anna sitting on her couch, still in her scrubs, staring at nothing. He had never seen her look so broken. "What happened?" he asked, sitting down next to her. Anna told him about the accident, about the little boy who reminded her of her younger brother, about how she kept thinking about all the families she hadn't been able to help over the years. "I couldn't save him," she said, tears finally starting to fall. "His mother looked at me like I could perform miracles, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't save him, just like I couldn't save my dad." Luke pulled Anna into his arms, remembering all the times she had done the same for him. "You did everything you could. That's not the same as not being able to save someone. But it feels the same. It feels like failing." Luke understood that feeling better than most people. The weight of responsibility, the guilt that comes with surviving when others don't, the endless wondering about what you could have done differently. "When I was overseas," Luke said quietly, "I used to think that if I was just better, smarter, more alert, I could keep everyone safe. When Tom died, I convinced myself it was my fault because I should have seen the bomb first." Anna looked up at him. "But that wasn't your fault. No, it wasn't. Just like tonight wasn't your fault. Sometimes terrible things happen, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop them. That doesn't make us failures. It makes us human." Over the next few days, Anna struggled with what had happened. She went to work, but she wasn't herself. She was jumpy, distracted, and started having trouble sleeping. She kept replaying the events of that night, wondering if she could have done something different. Luke recognized the signs immediately. Anna was developing her own trauma response to what she had witnessed. "I think you should talk to someone," Luke suggested gently one morning as Anna was getting ready for work. "What you experienced was traumatic. It's normal to need help processing it." "I'm fine," Anna said, but Luke heard the same defensive tone he had used so many times before. "You don't look fine. You haven't slept well in a week. You barely ate dinner last night." Anna stopped brushing her hair and looked at Luke in the mirror. I can handle this on my own. I know you can, but you don't have to. Remember what you told me? There's no shame in getting help. That afternoon, Luke did something that surprised Anna. He showed up at the hospital with flowers and a gentle smile. What are you doing here? Anna asked when she met him in the lobby during her break. I wanted to see how you were doing, and I wanted to tell you something. They sat down in a quiet corner of the waiting area. When I was at my worst, Luke said, you didn't try to fix me. You didn't tell me to get over it or that it wasn't my fault. You just sat with me and reminded me that I wasn't alone. Anna felt tears starting again. I don't know how to let people take care of me. I'm the one who takes care of other people. I know, but maybe it's time to learn. Maybe it's time to let someone else be strong for a while. That evening, Anna called her therapist and scheduled an emergency session. She also talked to her supervisor about taking a few days off to process what had happened. Luke took time off work to be with Anna during her hardest days, just like she had done for him. He made her meals when she didn't feel like eating, sat with her when she couldn't sleep, and listened when she needed to talk about her fears and guilt. I keep thinking about that mother, Anna said one night as they sat on her couch. How do you survive losing a child? How do you keep going when the worst thing you can imagine actually happens? I don't know, Luke said honestly. But I think people are stronger than we give them credit for. Look at you. You've survived losing your dad. You've helped me through my worst moments, and you're going to get through this too. What if I can't go back to work? What if I can't handle seeing families in crisis anymore? Then we'll figure out what comes next. You don't have to have all the answers right now. Anna leaned against Luke's shoulder. When did you get so wise? I had a good teacher, Luke said, kissing the top of her head. 3 weeks later, Anna returned to work. She was different, more cautious, more aware of her own limits. But she was also stronger in some ways. She had learned that she didn't have to carry everyone's pain alone. Luke continued his own healing journey, but now he had a new purpose. Taking care of Anna during her crisis had shown him that he wasn't just someone who needed help. He was someone who could give it too. I want to ask you something, Luke said one evening as they were taking their usual walk through the park. What's that? Luke stopped walking and turned to face Anna. I've been thinking about this for a while, but I wanted to wait until we had both been through some hard times together. I wanted to make sure we could handle whatever life throws at us. Anna's heart started beating faster. Luke, what are you saying? Luke got down on one knee right there on the walking path, pulling a simple but beautiful ring from his pocket. I'm saying that I love you, not despite our struggles, but because of how we've learned to face them together. I'm saying that I want to keep growing and healing with you for the rest of my life. Anna, will you marry me? Anna looked down at Luke, this man who had taught her that love doesn't mean fixing each other, but supporting each other through the process of healing. Yes, she said, tears streaming down her face. Yes, of course I'll marry you. As Luke slipped the ring onto her finger, Anna realized that their love story wasn't about two people who found each other when they were perfect. It was about two people who found each other when they were broken and chose to put themselves back together, side by side. They had learned that real love isn't about having all the answers. It's about being willing to face the questions together, whatever they might be. And as they walked home that evening, planning their future and dreaming about the life they would build together, both Anna and Luke understood that they had found something rare and precious, a love that was strong enough to survive anything, because it had already survived everything. 1 year later, Anna stood in front of the mirror in the small room behind the chapel, adjusting her simple white dress. It wasn't the grand wedding she had dreamed about as a little girl, but it was perfect for who she and Luke had become together. Kelly knocked on the door and peeked her head in. How are you feeling? Nervous, happy, ready, Anna said, smiling at her reflection. Is Luke okay out there? He's pacing a little, but he looks happier than I've ever seen him. His best man is trying to get him to sit down. Anna laughed. Luke's best man was his buddy Mike from work, a quiet guy who had become like a brother to him over the past year. Luke had been nervous about asking someone to stand up with him, worried that he didn't have close enough friendships anymore. But Mike had been honored to be asked. The ceremony was small, just 20 people who meant the most to them. Anna's mother had flown in from Florida, still a little confused about why Anna was marrying someone she described as complicated, but supportive nonetheless. Luke's parents were there too, proud and relieved to see their son building a happy life after so many difficult years. Dr. Martinez sat in the third row, having become more than just Luke's therapist over the past year and a half. She had helped both of them understand that healthy relationships require two whole people choosing to share their lives, not two broken people trying to complete each other. As Anna walked down the short aisle, she saw Luke waiting for her at the altar. He was wearing a navy blue suit that brought out his eyes, and when he saw her, his face lit up with the kind of smile that made her remember why she had fallen in love with him in the first place. The vows they had written together were simple and honest. "Luke," Anna said, her voice steady despite her racing heart, "a year and a half ago, I thought I knew what love was supposed to look like. I thought it was about finding someone perfect, someone who would never need help or support. You taught me that real love is about finding someone brave enough to be imperfect with you." She paused, looking into his eyes. "You taught me that healing isn't something you do alone, and that being strong doesn't mean never falling down. It means getting back up again and again, and letting the people who love you help you do it." Luke's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I promised to keep growing with you, to keep working on myself, not just for me, but for us. I promise to support your dreams and hold you when you're scared. And I promise to never forget that loving you is the best decision I've ever made." When it was Luke's turn, he took Anna's hands in his. "Anna, you saved my life, but not in the way people usually mean when they say that. You didn't rescue me from my problems or fix what was broken. You showed me that I was worth saving, and then you gave me the space and support to save myself." His voice grew stronger as he continued. "You taught me that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about being afraid and choosing love anyway. I promise to be your partner, not your patient. I promise to take care of myself so I can take care of us. And I promise to love you through whatever comes next, because I know now that we can handle anything together." When the minister pronounced them husband and wife, Luke and Anna kissed softly, both thinking about how far they had traveled to reach this moment. The reception was held in Kelly's backyard, the same place where Luke had his panic attack during the fireworks show. It felt meaningful to celebrate their new beginning in the place where they had faced one of their biggest challenges. "Can I have everyone's attention?" Luke said, standing up during dinner. "I'm not much of a speechmaker, but I wanted to say something." The small group quieted down, all eyes on him. 2 years ago, I was convinced that I was too broken to ever have a normal life. I thought that asking for help was a sign of weakness, and that love was something that happened to other people, not to me. He looked over at Anna, who was smiling up at him with tears in her eyes. Anna didn't just love me back to health. She loved me enough to challenge me to do the work myself. She taught me that being vulnerable with another person isn't scary. It's the bravest thing you can do. Luke raised his glass. "So here's to Anna, who saw something worth fighting for even when I couldn't see it myself. And here's to all of you, who have supported us through the hard times and celebrated with us during the good ones. Thank you for believing in us." As everyone toasted, Anna stood up and hugged Luke tightly. "I love you, Mr. Thompson," she whispered in his ear. "I love you too, Mrs. Thompson," he whispered back after the reception. Luke and Anna drove to their new house, a small fixer-upper they had bought together 3 months earlier. It needed work, but they both loved the idea of building something together from the ground up. "I can't believe we're actually married," Anna said as they stood in their empty living room, still in their wedding clothes. "I can't believe you said yes when I asked," Luke replied, spinning her around. They had decided to spend their wedding night at home instead of going on a honeymoon right away. They wanted to save up money for the house renovations, but more than that, they wanted to start their married life in the place that would become their sanctuary. "Should we start unpacking?" Anna asked, looking at the boxes stacked along the walls. "Tomorrow," Luke said, pulling her close. "Tonight I just want to dance with my wife in our living room." They swayed together in the empty room, humming softly, both thinking about the journey that had brought them here. It hadn't been easy. There had been setbacks and fears and moments when they both wondered if they were strong enough to make it work. But they had learned that love isn't about being strong enough for anything. It's about being willing to be weak together, to support each other through the difficult times, and to celebrate together when things go well. 6 months later, as they painted their bedroom on a Saturday morning, Anna watched Luke carefully edging around the window frame. He was wearing old jeans and a t-shirt that was more paint than fabric, and he was humming under his breath, something he only did when he was truly content. "You missed a spot," Anna said, pointing to a section of wall near the ceiling. "Where?" Luke asked, looking up and accidentally getting paint in his hair. Anna laughed. "Right there. And now you have blue paint in your hair." Luke grinned and dipped his brush in the paint, reaching toward Anna's face. "Well, now we match. Don't you dare!" Anna squealed, running to the other side of the room. Luke chased her around the room, both of them laughing like children. When he finally caught her, he gently touched the paintbrush to the tip of her nose. "Perfect," he said, kissing her paint-covered nose. Anna looked around their bedroom. Half-painted walls, drop cloths everywhere, paint cans scattered around the floor. "It was messy and chaotic and absolutely perfect. I love our life," she said simply. "Even when it's messy? Especially when it's messy." Luke set down his paintbrush and pulled Anna into his arms. "You know what I realized?" "What's that?" "We're not the same people we were when we met. We've both changed, grown, healed. But somehow we've done it together." Anna nodded. "We're like this house. We were both fixer-uppers when we found each other. We needed work, but we had good bones. And now we're home." That evening, they sat on their front porch steps, watching the sunset and planning their next home improvement project. Luke's therapy sessions had decreased to once a month, and Anna had found a good balance between caring for others and caring for herself. They still had challenges. Luke occasionally had difficult days, and Anna sometimes struggled with anxiety about losing the people she loved. But they had learned to face these challenges together, as a team. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't met that day in the emergency room?" Anna asked. Luke considered the question. "I think we both would have found our way eventually, but I'm glad we found our way together." "Me too." As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Luke and Anna went inside their imperfect, beautiful home. They had learned that happily ever after doesn't mean that everything is always perfect. It means finding someone who will love you through the imperfect moments, someone who will grow and change with you, someone who will choose you again and again, even when it's hard. Their love story had begun with pain and uncertainty, but it had grown into something strong and lasting. They had kept their promise to each other, to hold each other close, to never let go, and to always show each other their true hearts, scars and all. And as they fell asleep in their half-painted bedroom, both Anna and Luke knew that this was just the beginning of their story together. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them the same way they had faced everything else. Together, with courage, honesty, and a love that had been tested and proven strong enough to last a lifetime.